Hey there, it's Robert. Today I'm going to show you how to use Virtual Set 2 series. I've got a couple of different setups from this series, and let me just kind of show you a little bit of what we're going to do here. I'll play through it here a little bit. We've got a talent footage layer in the studio background. We have a little B-roll, kind of a vertical monitor setup there. And then on a second setup, we have our talent footage there again, and background, virtual set background, a different kind of monitor that drops down, kind of one that has a little bit more options, and then another B-roll piece of footage that displays within this monitor area. So first thing, let me delete out the footage that I have set up so far. So let me just delete everything out within my project bin. There, okay, and I'm working within Premiere Pro CS5. You can really use most of these techniques in just about any video editor that you're using. So if you're using Final Cut, Express, or Premiere Elements, or any of those kinds of video editors, you should be able to follow along and use pretty much the same techniques that I'm using just about in any video editor. All of these studios that we're working with today, all these sets, these are all in QuickTime format, and so they can be imported into just about any video editor that can bring in QuickTime type files. So the first thing I'm going to do is in my project bin area, I'm going to set up a new folder and call this one Studios, and then I will select all my studios, click and drag and drop them into that folder. They'll import in like that. Next thing I'm going to do is set up a folder called Footage, and then I am going to bring in the different pieces of footage that I'm going to be working with today. So right now we've got this talent footage shot on the green screen there, this little breaking news clip, and then this is the animated monitor that we're going to use in kind of the second setup that we have. So let me click and drag those into the footage area there. Get that out of the way. Okay, so first thing is to set up a new sequence. So in Premiere, there's a little button here for New Item. If you click that, you have a bunch of different options. We're going to create a new sequence. So you click Sequence, and this is where you kind of set up all of your options for resolution and frame rate and that kind of thing. We're going to do 1080p here, and so we'll call this one Studio 2A. All right, and so first thing is I'm going to get a studio background that I want to use and drag and drop it down onto the timeline. So the one that I'm going to use for this one will be the sideways clip. So the Studio 2 sideways. So we'll click and drag that down. We're going to put it on layer 2 there. And so if you right click on the layer name, you can click rename. We'll call this one Studio. There, you can kind of see, I'll zoom in on my timeline, you can kind of see that the studio layer and then the little animated monitor comes in, and then we've got a little bit of just kind of background animation going on for the next 15 seconds or so. So the next layer that I'll bring in is my talent footage. So we'll come over here to the footage folder and grab this piece of talent there. And so, next thing we need to do is knock out the green screen in this chroma background. And you can go to Window, Effects to bring up your effects finder thing. And you can drill down to Keying folder there. A quicker way to get to keys and any effect, really. This little search bar right here, you can start typing in the name of your effect. This instance, we'll start typing in key, and it'll bring up all the keying options, effects that are in the effects area. So there's a built-in Chroma Key effect that a lot of people use in Premiere. It's okay. It's not the best Chroma Keyer in Premiere. You basically just drag and drop the effect onto your studio or your footage layer, and then in your effects controls, which you get to by going Window, Effects Controls, there's a little chroma key drop down. You drop this down, and then you can select the eyedropper tool and then select the color that you want to remove in your scene. And you click that, you can kind of see it starting to remove stuff, and then you can adjust the sliders to kind of dial it in a little more. If you have really perfect footage, then the chroma key effect is okay. If you're like me and you don't have absolutely perfect footage, this ultra key effect right here is a little bit better. Seems to have a little more fine-tuning that you can do with the key. And so if you click and drag that onto your footage layer, and then in your effects controls, do the drop down and come to key color, select the eyedropper, come over here and select the green. You kind of want to select it close to where your talent is, because the green over here is just going to be slightly different because of the lighting and that kind of thing. So you want to kind of select close to your as close to your talent as you can, and get a nice, good representation of the green or blue that you have in your chroma key background. And you can kind of see it right here where there's a little bit of gradient that it's not quite getting, and you can do a couple things to fix that. There's a main setting here where you can do a relaxed key or an aggressive key. This will just kind of up the amount of chroma key removal that'll take place in that piece of footage. And then what you can also do, if it's still kind of not getting what you need to and it's not in the way of the talent, you can actually crop it out. That's what I do a lot of times, is go to the effects area, type in crop, drag the crop effect onto your footage, go to the crop in the effect settings, and then you can crop out. You can see when I start going too far, you can crop out areas of the footage that you're not needing to key out, and that just kind of keeps it so that you don't have to do too much of an aggressive chroma key to remove the green or the blue in your background. Okay, so we've got the talent. She's actually facing the wrong way. You can kind of see how she presents to the side there, and so what we can do there is, since we've already got her isolated, since she doesn't have any words on her shirt or a logo or anything like that, we can do a horizontal flip. And so what you can do is start typing in the word flip in your effects box here, and then you can do either a horizontal or vertical. We're going to do a horizontal flip, drag that onto the talent layer, and that will flip her right there. And obviously we've got to kind of adjust the crop a little bit so that it doesn't knock her out too much there. And so she's still a little bit off center, so you can go into the position settings in your video effects and adjust, up or down, left or right, kind of as needed. But that's kind of a nice way to adjust your talent footage in post-production if you need to. And so you can see that she kind of does that there, and we have that. So the next thing we're going to do is remove the green in this monitor area to show our B-roll footage underneath. And so let me just right-click on this layer while we're at it and rename it to talent, because that's our talent layer. And then this final layer, we'll call this one B-roll. And that's where our animated motion is going to show up in the in this area right here. And so let me just go ahead and drag the B-roll clip down to the final bottom layer, and then we're going to apply a chroma key, the same ultra key chroma key effect, to this studio layer to knock out the green in that monitor. So let me go back to the effects area, do key, go ultra key, and drag that onto the studio layer, knock that down, and then select the eyedropper and click in that area, and you can see that it just pops right out, and the footage underneath shows through. And so if you have normal 16:9 footage, you can select your B-roll footage, go to motion, scale it up and down, position it where you want it, and that kind of thing. If you had footage that was already shot kind of in that portrait style, then you could rotate it at this point and fit it right within your screen, like this. Scale it there. position it like that. There. So you could do a bunch of different things with it, but that kind of shows you the way the scene gets set up. The portrait, the sideways animated monitor. This is a pretty good layout if you've got a lot of information. If you've got a presentation with a lot of points or something like that, a lot of bullet points or something that you want to show, kind of within this layer, it may work a little better than a normal monitor that's just more wide. This, you can kind of list things down on the monitor for as long as you need it to. Another question that we have a lot is if our clips are maybe 15, 20, 30 seconds long, and you may need this clip to last longer than that than what you have there. And so how do you extend out this scene, because you can't just copy and paste it because this monitor animates in. And so the easiest way to do that is to drag your time slider till after the monitor animates in and after it fades into the chroma key. Then you want to select your studio layer, put your time slider where the animation has already occurred and the monitor is already faded, and then go up to Sequence, Razor Tracks, and you can also hit Control K on your keyboard, and that will cut the studio layer right there. And so this second segment of the studio layer is with the animated monitor always fully extended. And so now you can copy and paste. Oops. You can copy and paste the this footage of the studio layer. You can just copy it and paste it for as long as you need within your scene. And if there's a little bit of a jump in between the segments, you can add a transition, a dissolve transition that will mask those transitions pretty good. So you just add a little transition there, and you can extend it out a little further so that it's not obvious that everything's kind of switching, and that'll allow you to extend the scene for basically as long as you want it to. And then another little trick, if you want the monitor to animate back up, you can always reverse this this little portion of the layer right there. You can copy it, paste it, right-click on the little segment right there, go to Speed, Duration, and click Reverse Speed. Hit OK, and then now instead of animating it in, it fades out and animates back out of the scene. And so that's another thing that you can do to kind of finish out your scene. So moving on to the second segment, let me set up a new sequence. So we'll go Sequence, New, and we'll call this one Studio 2B, and then click OK. All right, and so we'll kind of start out the same way. We'll go ahead and bring our studio down, and so the one that I'm going to use on this one is Studio 2 Loop, which is just a perfectly looping background. There's no animated monitors or anything like that, and so you can just paste these back to back to back to back to back on the timeline, so that you can extend this background for as long as you need it. And so we'll have this studio layer, and then let me right click and rename that one Studio. And then what we're also going to do is we have a piece of footage that is a animated monitor pack, and I'll paste that down or bring that down onto the timeline. You can see it. It basically has these animated monitors coming down in kind of multiple different ways. So you've got kind of an angled monitor there. You've got the sideways animated monitors like that. And so what we'll do is we'll use this this center animated monitor like that, and so we're going to kind of slice it so that we can use it for what we're doing. So we're going to isolate this portion of the animation. So just use your time slider to get to the end of that animation right there. Select your Video 2 layer and hit Sequence, Razor Tracks, or Control K, and that will slice off that rest of this animation, which we're not going to use, so we'll delete that. And so we have this. And then what I'm going to do to extend out the monitor so that it keeps, it stays there and it stays extended is I will just slice a little portion, just one frame basically, portion, so sequence, razor tracks, one frame of this animation. Right click on the little one frame piece right there, go to speed duration, and for speed just type in 0. Premiere itself won't allow you to do a 0 speed, but it will make it a 0.01 speed, which extends it out till 5 minutes and 33 seconds. And so if I zoom out on the timeline, you can see that it comes down, and then you've got the monitor out for basically as long as you absolutely need it there, like that. And so now what we need to do is apply a chroma key to this monitor layer, both the pieces now, so that we can knock out this green in the monitor area. And so we will basically go to our effects controls, our effects box, and start typing in key, drag and drop Ultra key to the first segment and the second segment, and then select the first segment, go up to effects controls, drop down Ultra key, select the eyedropper, make sure your time slider is at the end, and select that green, and it pops it right out of the scene. And same thing for this scene. Select your layer, go up to Ultra key in your effects controls, select the eyedropper, and pops it right out, just like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to select these this piece right here. I'm going to bring them up to the next layer, and then rename this layer animated monitor there. And what I'll also do is bring down this breaking news motion graphic there and bring it down onto the timeline, onto the second layer. And you can see that it brings in its, as full screen. And so you'll select the B-roll footage and go up to motion, scale it down until you kind of get it the right area there. So it basically fits within that monitor. And the monitor itself kind of acts as a mask. And if your footage is kind of a different aspect ratio or something like that, you can always apply a crop to it to get it within kind of the area that it needs to be. And so the other thing that you're going to want to do is you'll see here when we drag and drop, you got the footage down there. So you just want to bring your time slider to about right there, and then just position your clip so that it starts playing after the monitor is already extended down. And so now the animated monitor comes down, and then your footage plays right in there. And so what I like to do is I like to set up a, especially when I'm working with a separate animated monitor and B-roll footage and that kind of thing, I like to set up a new sequence just for my B-roll. So let me just set up a new sequence. We'll call this one B-roll. And then in this scene, I'm going to select the monitor layers and the B-roll layer, and I'm going to cut them out, and then I'm going to paste them, edit paste, into this B-roll scene. So now we can bring this B-roll, the single B-roll layer, onto our main timeline, and it has both the B-roll footage and the animated monitor. But we're now on our final timeline, we're just messing with one video layer, which I think helps a little bit. And so once you've done this, you can select your monitor B-roll footage, and you can change the scale of it, scale it up and down. You can reposition the monitor wherever you need it to be. You can also apply a 3D effect. If you go and start typing 3D in your effects area, you can apply a basic 3D effect to this B-roll footage, and then you can do a swivel or a tilt to kind of give a little bit of a 3D effect to the animation itself. and kind of angle the monitor just a little bit, that kind of thing. Yeah, so you can kind of move it just a little bit just to kind of dial it in there. Okay, and then I can drag this back down to this video 2 layer, because this one we're actually going to use for our talent footage again. And so instead of having to redo all the Chroma Key stuff, I'm just going to come back to our first sequence and copy this Chroma Key footage. So let me come over here, select the clip, go to Edit, Copy, come back here, and paste it. There. And so now we kind of need to reposition her and then obviously flip her the other way. So we will we'll select the B-roll footage, or not the B-roll footage clip, the talent footage, take out this horizontal flip effect, and then adjust our crop. And kind of reposition her where we want her to be. And so now, if I play through it, let's see, we have her there. We've got the animated monitor that comes down. It's kind of angled, and everything kind of comes together in one piece. So yeah, so that's about it. Thanks for taking a look. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to get in touch with us on our website. We'll have the website in the description area, or you can go to our contact form on the website. And thanks for taking a look.